The Xeraxian warships appeared without warning, their obsidian hulls absorbing sunlight like cosmic predators. 50 vessels, each larger than Earth's largest aircraft carrier, took up strategic positions around the planet. Admiral Sarah Chen watched from Naval Command's underground facility in Pearl Harbor as real-time satellite imagery showed the alien fleet's deployment pattern. They're positioning themselves over every major naval base. Her XO, Commander James Rodriguez, noted grimly. Pearl Harbor, Norfolk, Severomorsk, Qingdao. Chen nodded, but allowed herself a slight smile. The aliens had revealed their first mistake. They were thinking in surface warfare terms. The Xeraxians' first transmission came 3 hours after their arrival. Their leader, High Commander Vexthor, appeared on screens worldwide. His scaled face and 4 glowing eyes projected an air of absolute superiority. People of Earth, the alien's translated voice boomed. Your world has been chosen for integration into the Xeraxian Empire. Your oceans contain rare elements crucial to our civilization's advancement. Surrender your naval facilities and waters, and we will allow your species to continue existing under our benevolent rule. Resist, and we will demonstrate why the Xeraxian Empire has never known defeat. In the UN Security Council's emergency session, representatives argued fiercely about the response. China's delegate advocated immediate surrender. Russia's representative suggested nuclear retaliation. But Admiral Chen had been preparing for this moment for over a decade. She stepped up to the podium, her weather-worn face illuminated by the chamber's harsh lighting. Distinguished colleagues, 10 years ago, when we first detected the Xeraxian fleet's approach through our deep space monitoring network, the world's naval powers made a choice. Instead of announcing our discovery and causing panic, we prepared. The chamber fell silent as Chen activated a holographic display. Project Deep Shield, a joint program to modify our nuclear submarine fleets with experimental quantum stealth technology. While the Xeraxians watched our surface activities, we were transforming our underwater capabilities. The display showed modified Virginia, Yason, and Type 096 class submarines, their hulls enhanced with dark material that seemed to bend light around them. Our scientists discovered that Xeraxian sensors, despite their advancement, have a critical blind spot. They evolved as a spacefaring species, optimizing their technology for void warfare. Their sensors can't penetrate water deeper than 100 meters effectively. Commander Rodriguez stepped forward with tactical projections. We have 200 enhanced submarines positioned in deep waters worldwide. The Xeraxians don't even know they exist. Their ships' energy shields are formidable against cosmic radiation and plasma weapons, but they've never been tested against good old-fashioned nuclear torpedoes. Murmurs filled the chamber as understanding dawned. Chen continued, The Xeraxians expect us to fight like they do, with ships that announce their presence proudly. They don't understand Earth's naval doctrine of silent running, of patience, of striking from the depths. And if we fail? The British representative asked. Then humanity falls fighting, Chen replied. But the Xeraxians are about to learn why Earth's submariners are called the Silent Service. We don't need to match their technology. We just need to exploit their blindness. Within hours, the Security Council approved Operation Poseidon's Wrath. As Chen returned to Pearl Harbor, encrypted orders went out to submarine fleets worldwide. The U.S. Tennessee, deep beneath the Pacific, received its targeting package first. Captain Lisa Wong studied the attack coordinates with cold precision. Sonar, status of target Zeta 1. Wong asked, her voice barely above a whisper despite the submarine's sound-dampening systems. Hold steady at 300 meters above us, Captain. Their energy beam is still extracting seawater. No indication they've detected us. Wong allowed herself a small smile. The Xeraxian ship was harvesting minerals exactly where their behavioral analysis had predicted. Weapons, status. Nuclear torpedo armed and ready, Captain. Modified Mark 48 with quantum-shielded warhead. Range optimal. Wong took a deep breath. Humanity's first strike against an alien invasion would come not with a bang, but with a whisper from the depths. "For Earth," she said quietly. "Fire." The Tennessee shuddered slightly as the torpedo launched. Through the sonar, they heard its nearly silent progress upward. The Xeraxian vessel continued its harvest, oblivious to approaching death from below. When the torpedo detonated, the alien ship's shield flared brilliant blue for a split second before collapsing. The quantum-shielded nuclear warhead encountered no further resistance. The massive vessel's obsidian hull cracked like an egg, its fragments raining down into the Pacific. Before the debris settled, similar reports came in from around the globe. The silent service had drawn first blood. Humanity's counterattack had begun, and the Xeraxians never saw it coming. High Commander Vexthor received the reports with disbelief. 7 harvester ships destroyed in the first wave, with no warning, no detection of enemy vessels. "Impossible," he snarled. "These primitives barely have spaceflight." Scanned the attack zones. "Sir," his tactical officer replied, "our sensors show nothing but ocean life. Whatever struck our ships, we can't see it." In Pearl Harbor, Admiral Chen watched the initial battle reports with grim satisfaction. The Xeraxians had come expecting to find primitive prey. Instead, they'd stumbled into an ambush planned for a decade. Now the real war would begin, fought not in space or on land, but in the dark depths of Earth's oceans. The silent service was on the hunt, and the galaxy's most powerful empire was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity's ingenuity. The U.S. Tennessee glided through the midnight waters of the Philippine Trench, running silent at 3,000 feet. Captain Wong studied the tactical display showing 3 Xeraxian vessels above, their energy beams frantically scanning the ocean's surface. After the devastating first strike, the aliens had adapted quickly. Their harvesters now operated under heavy escort. "They're learning," Commander Martinez, Wong's XO, whispered, "but they still can't see below 100 meters. "Learning the wrong lessons," Wong replied. The aliens had doubled their shield strength, increased their patrol coverage, even developed some basic sonar capability. But they were still thinking like space warriors, treating water as a 2-dimensional barrier rather than a 3-dimensional battle space. A message arrived through the quantum-encrypted acoustic network. "Operation Deep Sting is go. All vessels, execute primary mission objectives." Admiral Chen's orders were clear. Phase 2 would show the Xeraxians that humanity's first strike wasn't a fluke. Wong gathered her crew for the briefing. "Listen up. The Xeraxians have called in reinforcements. 300 ships now orbit Earth. They think numbers will save them." She pulled up a holographic display of the alien fleet's new formation. "But they've made a critical mistake. They've clustered their ships into tight defensive groups." "Tight groups make big targets," Chief Engineer Patel observed with a grim smile. "Exactly." Wong highlighted their primary target, a cluster of 5 Xeraxian ships attempting to harvest rare Earth elements from the trench. They've positioned their shields to overlap, creating what they think is an impenetrable defense. But they're about to learn something about underwater physics. The Tennessee wasn't alone. 4 other enhanced submarines, British, Chinese, Russian, and Indian, had taken positions around the alien formation. Each carried a specially modified nuclear torpedo designed by Earth's combined scientific community. "Sonar status?" Wong asked. "Crystal clear, Captain. They're running some kind of active scanning, but it's like they're using radar underwater. Completely useless at this depth." The Xeraxians had adapted their space-based sensors for ocean use, not understanding that electromagnetic waves behaved differently in water. Their scans couldn't penetrate the deep ocean's natural thermoclines and pressure layers. "Message from HMS Vengeance," communications reported. "All vessels in position." Wong took a deep breath. "Send confirmation." "Execute on my mark." She watched the tactical display as 5 submarines, representing humanity's finest naval technology and crews, prepared to strike from different vectors. "Remember, She told her crew, "We're not just fighting for Earth. We're teaching a lesson about human ingenuity. The Xerexians think technology alone determines superiority. We're going to show them why experience matters more." The coordinated attack began with absolute silence. 5 quantum-shielded torpedoes, launched simultaneously, converged on the alien formation from different depths and angles. The Xerexians' overlap shields, designed to repel attacks from space, created a resonance effect when struck by multiple underwater detonations. The result exceeded even the scientists' predictions. The shield resonance cascaded, transforming the aliens' defense into a devastating liability. All 5 ships imploded, their advanced hulls crushed by the same deep ocean pressures they'd ignored. Similar attacks played out across Earth's oceans. The silent service struck like ghosts, exploiting the aliens' fundamental misunderstanding of oceanic warfare. Submarine commanders wielded centuries of naval doctrine and experience against an enemy that had never needed to master underwater combat. In his flagship above Earth, High Commander Vexthor raged at his tactical officers. How are they doing this? Our technology is centuries beyond theirs." His science officer, analyzing debris from destroyed vessels, finally grasped the truth. "Sir, they're not beating our technology. They're using the ocean itself as a weapon. Our sensors, our shields, our tactics, they're all optimized for void warfare. These humans, they've spent their entire military history learning to fight in an environment we never had to consider." Reports of losses continued to mount. The Xerexian Empire, undefeated in space combat across 12 galaxies, was being systematically dismantled by what they had dismissed as primitive underwater vessels. Admiral Chen received the battle updates with quiet satisfaction. The Xerexians had brought overwhelming force to subjugate what they saw as an inferior species. Instead, they faced an enemy they couldn't see, fighting with tactics they couldn't counter, in an environment they couldn't master. "Message to all submarines," she commanded. "Operation Deep Sting is a success. Commence Phase 3. Her eyes narrowed as she studied the tactical display, showing Xerexian ships frantically repositioning in orbit. "Let's show them what happens when they threaten Earth's oceans." The silent service continued its ghostly war. Each victory demonstrated the same truth. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't technological superiority, but the ability to turn perceived weakness into unexpected advantage. The Xerexians had come to harvest Earth's oceans, never imagining that those same oceans would become their grave. Deep beneath the waves, Captain Wong and her crew prepared for their next attack. The Tennessee's nuclear reactor hummed quietly, its enhanced stealth systems making it virtually invisible to alien detection. They were hunters in their natural environment, facing an enemy that still hadn't learned to look down. "We are the silent service," Wong reminded her crew. "We strike from the shadows, disappear into the depths, and let the ocean hide our presence. The Xerexians wanted our waters. Let's show them why Earth's navies have feared submarines for over a century." The Mariana Trench stretched before the U.S. Tennessee like a vast underwater canyon. At 35,000 feet deep, it was one of Earth's most hostile environments, and humanity's greatest advantage. Captain Wong's crew had tracked a Xerexian research vessel to these depths, watching as the aliens attempted to understand why their ships kept disappearing. "They're scanning the seafloor," reported Lieutenant Park from sonar. "Their energy signature is different this time. They've modified their sensors." Wong studied the data. The Xerexians had finally begun to adapt, developing pressure-resistant probes that could function in the crushing depths. But they were still missing something fundamental about underwater warfare. A transmission from Admiral Chen arrived through the quantum-encrypted network. Critical intelligence discovered. Xerexian hulls contain trace elements of tenovarium. Extreme pressure causes molecular destabilization. Confirm findings and exploit. Chief Engineer Patel's eyes widened at the data. "Captain, this is why their ships implode so catastrophically. Their advanced hull material becomes brittle under intense pressure. The deeper they go, the more vulnerable they become." Wong finished. Status of the research vessel. Holding at 15,000 feet, Captain. They're pushing their limits, but they're nervous. Wong smiled. The Xeraxians had conquered space, but the ocean's depths terrified them. Each additional foot of depth meant tons more pressure against their hulls. They hadn't evolved with this environment. They didn't trust it. The Tennessee, however, was in her element. Decades of engineering and experience had prepared human submarines for exactly these conditions. Even with their enhanced modifications, the core design principles remained the same. Work with the ocean's pressure, not against it. New contact. Park's voice cut through the control room. Multiple Xeraxian vessels entering the area. They're trying to form a search grid. Tactical showed 5 destroyer-class alien ships moving into formation above the research vessel. The Xeraxians had learned enough to begin hunting in groups, using their modified sensors to sweep methodically through the depths. They're learning, Commander Martinez observed, but not fast enough. Wong gathered her senior staff for a quick conference. The Xeraxians think they can adapt their space warfare doctrine to the oceans, but they're missing the key principle of submarine combat: patience. She outlined her plan. The Tennessee would use the trench's unique topology to their advantage. The deep ocean currents, the temperature layers, the crushing pressure, all would become weapons in their arsenal. Message from HMS Vengeance. Communications reported. They're in position on the other side of the trench. Russian submarine Novgorod reports ready as well. 3 of Earth's most advanced submarines had surrounded the Xeraxian search party. But instead of attacking immediately, they waited, silent and invisible, as the aliens descended deeper into their trap. 20,000 feet, Park reported. Their hull stress is increasing. I can hear their structure creaking through the sonar. The Xeraxian ships press deeper, their desperation to find Earth's hidden defenders overriding their caution. Their modified sensors, while better than their original equipment, still couldn't penetrate the complex layers of water pressure and temperature that submariners had learned to navigate decades ago. 25,000 feet. Their research vessel is showing signs of strain. Wong watched the depth gauge with calculating eyes. The ocean itself was doing half their work for them. Each additional 1,000 feet increased the pressure exponentially, stressing the aliens' xenovarium hulls beyond their design limits. All vessels, Wong transmitted to her allies, execute attack pattern Delta on my mark. The 3 submarines moved into position, using the trench walls and thermal layers for cover. The Xeraxians, focused on their desperate search below, never detected the coordinated movement around them. At 30,000 feet, the research vessel's hull began to buckle. The destroyer escorts moved to assist, but they had already descended too deep. Their shields, designed for the vacuum of space, provided no protection against the crushing embrace of the deep ocean. Fire. 3 quantum-shielded torpedoes struck simultaneously. The underwater detonations created pressure waves that the already stressed alien hulls couldn't withstand. The xenovarium structures shattered, and the vessels imploded in a cascade of destruction. As debris rained down into the trench, Wong transmitted to Admiral Chen. Operation Deep Knowledge complete. Confirm critical vulnerability. Xeraxian ships cannot operate effectively below 25,000 feet. Recommend immediate exploitation of this weakness. Chen's response came swiftly. Well done, Captain. All submarines worldwide are being updated with your findings. Phase 4 begins now. The Tennessee surfaced briefly to recharge her batteries, her crew exhausted but triumphant. They had proven that humanity's understanding of deep ocean warfare wasn't just an advantage. It was a decisive factor that could turn the tide of an interstellar invasion. In orbit, High Commander Vex Thor received the latest disaster report with growing dread. His fleet, designed to dominate the space lanes between stars, was being systematically destroyed by an enemy that attacked from crushing depths his people had never needed to master. The Silent Service had found the Xeraxians' fatal flaw. Now, every deep ocean trench, every abyssal plain, every underwater canyon on Earth became a potential grave for alien ships. The hunters had become the hunted, and the very environment they had come to exploit was becoming their greatest enemy. Deep beneath the waves, Captain Wong and her crew prepared for their next mission. They had taught the galaxy's greatest empire a lesson about underestimating humanity. Now it was time to teach them about defeat. Admiral Chen stood in the Global Command Center beneath Pearl Harbor, surrounded by holographic displays showing submarine positions worldwide. The Xeraxian invasion fleet, once proud and imposing, had been reduced to defensive clusters around their remaining harvester ships. Their initial force of 300 vessels had been cut in half. They're consolidating their forces, Commander Rodriguez noted, pointing to the tactical display, pulling back to shallower waters. A desperate move, Chen replied. They think safety lies in numbers and shallow depths. They still don't understand that they're making our job easier. The Xeraxians had withdrawn their ships to continental shelf regions where depths rarely exceeded 200 meters. They believed this would protect them from the crushing pressures that had destroyed so many of their vessels. Instead, they had concentrated their forces exactly where Earth's submarines held the greatest advantage. Messages flowed through the quantum-encrypted network as submarine commanders reported ready for Phase 4. Operation Rising Thunder would be humanity's largest coordinated naval action in history. Aboard the U.S. Tennessee, Captain Wong briefed her crew on their role. The Xeraxians think they found safe harbor in shallow waters. But they've forgotten something crucial about Earth's oceans. Sound travels faster and clearer in shallow waters. Her tactical display showed their primary target, a cluster of 15 Xeraxian ships attempting to harvest rare Earth elements from the South China Sea. Similar clusters had formed in shallow waters worldwide, creating perfect targets for coordinated strikes. All vessels report ready, Admiral, Rodriguez announced in Pearl Harbor. Awaiting your command. Chen took a moment to appreciate the historical significance of what they were about to attempt. 300 submarines from 24 nations, coordinating the simultaneous global attack. The largest submarine operation in human history, about to be launched against an alien invasion fleet. Send the command, she ordered. Operation Rising Thunder is go. The attack began with a devastating new tactic. Submarines positioned on the seaward side of the alien clusters launched their quantum-shielded torpedoes on ballistic trajectories. The weapons shot out of the water like missiles, their specialized warheads detonating just above the ocean's surface. The electromagnetic pulse from the high-altitude detonations washed over the Xeraxian ships. Their shields, calibrated against the modified underwater attacks they'd faced so far, offered no protection against this new threat. Ship after ship lost power, their advanced systems temporarily paralyzed. Before the aliens could recover, the second wave struck. Submarines on the shoreward side of the clusters launched conventional nuclear torpedoes. With their shields down and their hulls exposed, the Xeraxian vessels were defenseless against the onslaught. Multiple confirmations, Rodriguez reported, his voice tight with controlled excitement. 78 enemy vessels destroyed in the first minute. They're completely disorganized. The Xeraxians attempted to retreat to deeper waters, directly into the paths of waiting submarines. Their once mighty fleet, terror of a dozen galaxies, had been transformed into prey. High Commander Vexthor watched in horror as his tactical display became a cascade of failure notifications. Impossible, he whispered. Their technology is primitive. Their weapons are crude. How are they defeating us? His science officer, who had spent weeks studying human naval warfare, finally understood. Sir, we made a fundamental mistake. We judged them by their level of space technology. But these humans, they've spent centuries mastering underwater warfare. Every tactic we're trying to develop, they perfected generations ago. In Pearl Harbor, Admiral Chen watched as Operation Rising Thunder unfolded exactly as planned. The Xeraxians' retreat to shallow waters had sealed their fate, allowing Earth's submarines to exploit every advantage of their home environment. Message from Captain Wong. Communications reported. Tennessee reports successful elimination of target cluster, moving to secondary objectives. Similar reports flooded in from around the globe. The silent service had sprung its trap, and the galaxy's most powerful empire was paying the price for its arrogance. "Sir," Rodriguez called out, multiple energy signatures detected in orbit. The Xeraxian fleet is powering up their main drives. Chen allowed herself a small smile. "They're running." The remnants of the invasion fleet broke orbit in a panic, their formation shattered, their confidence destroyed. They had come to Earth expecting to find primitive prey. Instead, they had found masters of an art of warfare they had never needed to learn. In the South China Sea, Captain Wang watched through the Tennessee's periscope as the last Xeraxian ships vanished into the sky. Her crew maintained silence out of habit, though their victory was complete. "Message from Admiral Chen," communications whispered. "All submarines worldwide report mission success. The Xeraxian fleet is in full retreat. Earth's oceans are secured." Wang thought about the lessons they had taught the galaxy's greatest empire, about the power of experience over raw technology, about the folly of underestimating an enemy based on their level of advancement in a single field. "Send to Admiral Chen," she ordered. "The silent service stands ready. Let them come again if they dare. We'll be waiting in the depths." Above, the stars twinkled peacefully, no longer harboring alien threats. Earth's submarines had defended their home, not with superior technology or overwhelming force, but with mastery of their environment and the accumulated wisdom of centuries of underwater warfare. The silent service had spoken, and the galaxy had listened. 6 months after the Xeraxian retreat, Admiral Chen stood at the podium of the United Nations General Assembly. Representatives from every nation had gathered to hear her report on the aftermath of humanity's victory. "The galaxy has changed," she began, her voice carrying the weight of recent history. 3 days ago, we received our first diplomatic transmission from the Galactic Council. The Xeraxian Empire's defeat has sparked a revolution in interstellar military doctrine. The holographic display behind her showed footage captured by orbital satellites. Xeraxian ships imploding under ocean pressures, their advanced technology useless against the fundamental forces of nature that Earth's submariners had learned to respect and harness. "The Xeraxians lost more than ships," Chen continued. "They lost their aura of invincibility. 17 species previously under their dominion have declared independence, all because Earth's primitive submarines prove that technological superiority alone doesn't determine the outcome of warfare." Captain Wang, seated in the audience with other submarine commanders, listened with quiet pride. The Tennessee had returned to regular patrol duties, but everything had changed. Every submarine crew on Earth now knew they were part of something larger. They were the defenders not just of Earth's oceans, but of humanity's independence among the stars. The Galactic Council's message included something unprecedented. Chen announced, "A formal request for human instructors in underwater warfare. It seems our victory has revealed a critical gap in galactic military capabilities. Species across the cosmos are suddenly very interested in learning how to fight beneath alien oceans." The assembly hall filled with murmurs. Humanity, considered a primitive backwater just months ago, was now being courted for its military expertise. "But perhaps the most significant change," Chen continued, "is in how the galaxy views Earth itself. The Xeraxians came here seeing only resources to harvest. They failed to understand that Earth's oceans had forged humanity into something unique, a species that had mastered warfare in an environment most alien civilizations had never needed to consider." The display shifted to show the new defensive network being constructed. Advanced early warning satellites combined with upgraded submarine detection systems. Earth would never again be caught unprepared for extraterrestrial threats. "The silent service did more than defend Earth," Chen declared. "We proved that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to adapt, to master our environment, to turn perceived weakness into unexpected strength. The Xeraxians thought our reliance on underwater vessels was primitive. They never understood that every submarine commander carries centuries of accumulated wisdom about operating in the most hostile environment on Earth." In orbit, construction teams were building Earth's first space-based naval headquarters. The design incorporated lessons learned from the conflict, including massive underwater docking facilities for the next generation of submarines being developed with hybrid space-ocean capabilities. Today, we announced the formation of the Earth Defense Forces Submarine Command, Chen revealed. Our mission has expanded. We will patrol not just Earth's oceans, but the waters of any world humanity reaches. The silent service has evolved from a planetary defense force to the guardians of human independence among the stars. Captain Wong smiled as she remembered the last message they'd intercepted from High Commander Vex Thor before his retreat. Beware the species that masters warfare in the depths. They understand patience, stealth, and the power of their environment in ways we never will. After the assembly, Chen met with her submarine commanders in a secure briefing room. The galaxy has learned to fear Earth's submarines, she told them. But more importantly, they've learned to respect humanity's capacity for innovation. We didn't win because we had better technology. We won because we understood our environment better than they understood theirs. The quantum encrypted network now extended to lunar orbit, allowing submarines to coordinate with Earth's growing space fleet. But the fundamental principles remained unchanged. Stealth, patience, and mastery of the environment would always be the silent service's greatest weapons. The Xeraxians thought they were invincible in space, Chen concluded. We showed them that true strength lies not in technological superiority, but in understanding and respecting the environment you fight in. That lesson has echoed across the galaxy. Deep beneath the Pacific, the U.S. Tennessee continued her patrol. Her crew knew that somewhere out there, alien civilizations were studying reports of Earth's victory, learning to fear the quiet hunters who had humbled an empire. The silent service had evolved, but its core remained unchanged. In the depths of Earth's oceans and the waters of distant worlds, submarine crews would continue their eternal watch, invisible, patient, and deadly to any who threatened their home. The galaxy had learned a crucial lesson. Never underestimate a species that had mastered the art of warfare in the depths. Earth's submarines had changed the face of interstellar combat forever, and the echo of their victory would resound through the cosmos for generations to come.